You don't know Jack.
This is Comedy Central, an American TV channel owned by Viacom. The channel mostly features adult comedy shows, some of which are original and some of which are syndicated, meaning that they are from other channels. Some of the Central's most popular shows include Mystery Science Theater 3000, Tosh.0, and none other than South Park, which is considered one of the best TV cartoons of all time, and could easily receive its own documentary. Comedy Central has had a long-winded and somewhat controversial history, most of which has been related to South Park. Their life on TV began with the merging of two rivaling comedy channels, and has been somewhat similar to that of Adult Swim, who I've made a video on in the past. So in this video, I'm going to take an in-depth look at the past, present, and future of this unorthodox little channel. Let's begin. This channel begins on November 15th, 1989, when the Comedy Channel is launched by Warner Media, previously known as Time Warner, which is owned by AT&T. This comedy-focused channel began with several out-of-the-ordinary programs, including Mystery Science Theater 3000, The Higgins Boys and Gruber, and Onion World.
Stop that music. Who do you think you are pushing me like that? No, don't. What are you waving your hand like a damn helicopter for? No, what? No, you don't push the captain. You must be new here. I think you don't want a piece of me. What you laughing? You're picking the wrong guy to laugh. Here's a cartoon. You want a piece of me?
These shows were also accompanied by several stand-up comedy acts, such as Alan King, Alan Havey, and Rachel Sweet, but the stand-ups were often criticised for simply serving the purpose of filling long gaps between programs. In addition, the Comedy Channel did not perform well commercially. Out of every television-watching household in America, only 5% had the Comedy Channel on their list of channels, which did not allow it to spread to many audiences. The Comedy Channel would soon meet a rival in the form of the channel Ha, which was launched by Viacom on April Fool's Day of 1990. This channel was similarly comedy-focused, with most of their programming being sitcoms from the 50s to the 70s. The logo, branding, and marketing of the channel were created by Fred/Allen Inc., a branding agency situated in New York. They were also involved in some on-air spots, such as a 1990 cartoon entitled What is Funny?
Just what is funny, anyway? Is this funny? I've seen this done before and people have laughed at it. Does that mean it's funny? I don't know. I'm asking. Are you laughing right now? Or would you laugh if I did this? Am I funny now? I mean, if I'm appearing on Ha, the new TV comedy network that shows nothing but great TV comedy 24 hours a day, shouldn't I have some idea whether this is funny? Well, I don't know. I'm asking.
However, similarly to the Comedy Channel, Ha struggled to pick up much popularity and traction. As a result of this, both HBO and Viacom decided to merge their respective channels in a partnership to create CTV, the Comedy Network. This new merged channel began airing on April Fool's Day of 1991, but it was quickly renamed to Comedy Central due to confusion and legal troubles from CTV, a Canadian-based TV network. However, the partnership between HBO and Viacom ended in April of 2003, with HBO being bought out of the partnership by Viacom for $1.23 billion, giving Viacom complete control of the channel. And with that, Comedy Central was formally formed. The 90s were an excellent time for Comedy Central. While their viewership was still fairly small due to its new presence on TV, it soon gained new views in the form of new and popular shows. These include the aforementioned Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was and still remains a cult classic, driving a large amount of views for the channel, as well as some brand new original shows that would end up on the same level of popularity as Mystery Science Theater. These new shows included The Daily Show, a late-night news satire talk show originally hosted by Craig Kilborn that started in 1996 before Jon Stewart was given hosting duties in 1999, before Trevor Noah also took over hosting duties in 2015. While the show has always been highly praised and viewed, with 24 Primetime Emmy Awards to its name, many fans of it have commended Stewart's tenure as host as the golden era of The Daily Show.
Was Tinky Winky lusting after Dipsy's doodle? Jerry Falwell is going down hard on Tinky Winky the Teletubby. This month's National Liberty Journal, Falwell's Christian magazine, claims Mr. Winky's purple gay pride color, high voice, triangle antenna, and purse all intentionally symbolize the gay lifestyle and are therefore damaging to the moral lives of children.
Another popular show of Comedy Central's own creation that was a uniquely animated cartoon which premiered during the 90s and was an almost immediate smash hit was Dr. Katz Professional Therapist. The show premiered in 1995 and featured a style of animation known as Squiggle Vision, a crude style that involves the character's outlines constantly squiggling around, a style that was even brought over to the early Adult Swim library in the show Home Movies. Most of the show revolves around Dr. Katz, who on most episodes speaks to two patients who are most often popular actors and comedians. However, there are often small sections revolving around Dr. Katz that are interspersed between the therapy sessions. The show received a Peabody Award in 1998 but was cancelled in 2002 to make room for other, newer shows.
It's something that's new to me if you're thinking about pottery or something along those lines.
Well, that's the risk you run. You're going to have to trust that I'm a professional and that I'm interested in helping you. But what did you ask me?
And who could forget the 90s debut of a Comedy Central show that became nearly infamous for its political incorrectness and its speaking of mind? Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. This was another late-night talk show in a similar vein as The Daily Show, except there would be more focus on politics as the name would suggest. Airing of the show would start in 1993, and in just a few years' time, one of the most popular TV channels at the time, ABC, expressed interest in bringing the show over to their network, which took place in 1996. Everything was going swimmingly for all parties, and then there was 9/11. Very soon after 9/11 had taken place, George Bush, then the President of the United States, stated that the perpetrators were cowards in his official response to the tragedy, which, on September 17, 2001, led Maher to took to his show to state that the USA were the true cowards, saying, quote, "We, the USA, have been the cowards, lobbing cruise missiles from 2,000 miles away. That's cowardly. Staying in the airplane when it hits the building, say what you want about it, it's not cowardly." This comment received immense backlash, with advertisers pulling their support, denunciation from the White House's press secretary, and suspension of the show airing. Maher did apologise and clarify his comments, but it appeared too little too late as ABC cancelled the show in June. However, they alleged that the reason for the show's cancellation was the decline in ratings. After the controversy, the two parties went their own ways. ABC replaced the gap in their schedule with Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Maher went on to host Real Time with Bill Maher, essentially the same show but on HBO, which is still going to this very day.
And the star of Stage, Screen, and Partridge Family, he sold over 25 million records, and his newest is Old Trick, New Dog, David Cassidy. Hey, Dave. Good to see you.
On Politically Incorrect, the show that once followed this one, he made this infamous comment less than a week after 9/11.
We have been the cowards, lobbing cruise missiles from 2,000 miles away. That's cowardly.
That is a
Staying in
terribly,
the airplane
yes.
when it hits the building.
That is
Say
a
what you want
terribly-
about it, not coward.
Alright, enough teasing and beating around the bush. It's time to tackle the show that made Comedy Central the juggernaut of comedy that it is today. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, we're going down to South Park and we're going to have ourselves a time. The story of South Park is a long and complicated one, and it begins with its creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, meeting at the University of Colorado in 1992. At the time, Parker was a recent transfer to the university after a semester at the Berklee College of Music, and Stone was a math prodigy from Littleton, Colorado. In the film class that the pair had both decided to take, everyone would have to work with someone else in the class, which is where the two met. They almost immediately got along over their love for old Monty Python sketches, so they decided to work on a short film together called The Spirit of Christmas, Jesus vs. Frosty, in which the four main characters of the show, Stan, Kyle, Carmen and Kenny, put a snowman named Frosty, who comes to life and kills Cartman, who looks like Kenny here, and Kenny, who looks like Cartman. In anger, the boys summon Jesus, who throws a frisbee that decapitates Frosty. In a way, this was the first South Park episode, and it was all animated with construction paper and glue. There wouldn't be much activity in the South Park world until 1995, when Brian Garden, executive of the Fox TV network, watched the short for himself and paid Parker and Stone $1,000 for them to make a digital Christmas card to be sent to his friends and family. This manifested in December with the release of the second Spirit of Christmas short, Jesus vs. Santa. In this short, Jesus has a brawl with Santa, killing various bystanders in the process, until a figure skater comes and makes them apologise to one another. When the video was released, it became very popular very quickly, and is often credited as one of, if not the first ever, viral video. Parker and Stone both wanted to turn the shorts into a full series that aired on Fox, but there were disagreements over the character Mr. Hankey, who is a piece of feces that goes around town delivering the Christmas message. It was also noted by one woman at Fox that she thought it was going to be just another Simpsons show, and that it likely wouldn't be popular amongst the adult demographic. So instead, they took it to two networks in particular, MTV and Comedy Central. Both of them were very good candidates for the show, but Parker decided he felt more comfortable with Comedy Central, as he felt that with MTV, they may have wanted a more kid-friendly show later down the line. And the rest is pretty much history. The first episode took nearly 3 months to make because of the construction paper and glue method they had used for the early shorts, and it was in danger of getting cancelled due to low approval ratings from its test audience in the first few episodes. However, Comedy Central decided to keep the show going, and it would eventually take off into the phenomenon that it is today. So thanks to South Park, Comedy Central was officially on the map. But where to go from here? The year was 2000. South Park was still at the top of the Comedy Central charts. Comedy Central's first ever feature film, entitled South Park Bigger, Longer and Uncut, was released to very positive reviews, and the channel decided it was time to signify a new era by introducing a new, modernised version of their previous Globe logo, which was introduced in 1997. This logo will last for about a decade, and many remember it fondly as a fresh redesign of a somewhat outdated logo. Aside from this, the early 2000s for Comedy Central were a time of branching out. They founded a record label, aptly titled Comedy Central Records in 2002, and it would soon become the record label for some incredibly prominent comedians, such as Kevin Hart, Amy Schumer and Bo Burnham. The following year, on July 4th, a new programming block dubbed the Secret Stash premiered. These were largely uncensored airings of certain episodes, movies and comedy specials that took place on Saturdays and Sundays at 1 AM Eastern Time. Another brand new Comedy Central property that began in the early 2000s were the Comedy Central Roasts. These began in 2003 with the roast of Dennis Leary, and have continued up until 2018 with the roast of Alec Baldwin. The format of the roasts involve one roastee and several roasters, who will take turns insulting both the roastee and their fellow roasters. In addition, a roast master is assigned for every roast, and this person usually hosts the event. Overall, the 2000s were a great time for Comedy Central, with high ratings, new shows and international expansions all taking place. But there's one thing I've neglected to mention from the 2000s, and that of course is the South Park Mohammed controversy. Buckle up, this is about to get interesting. On September 30th, 2005, a Danish newspaper by the name of Jyllands-Posten printed a series of 12 editorial cartoons which prominently featured Muhammad, the founder of the Islam religion, in certain different styles and situations. One of the drawings even showed Muhammad wearing a bomb underneath a turban. These drawings drew criticism from several Denmark-based Muslim groups, who commented that it appeared to be bashing Muslims for little reason, which was semi-responded to with the newspaper explaining that they wanted to talk about self-censorship and contribute to the discussion on Islam criticism. This was not met well, with continued claims of blasphemous behaviour, and in January of 2006, protests began to take place around the world, such as the United States, United Kingdom, Australia and more. Hundreds of people wound up dead as these protests began to turn violent. A large boycott of Danish goods took place, costing over 100 million euros for the country. The turmoil was massive, especially considering that this took place only a few years after the deadliest terrorist attack of all time. And when there's a cultural war, it's almost inevitable that South Park will come rolling in to blast everyone on both sides. On April 5th and April 12th, 2006, South Park aired the episodes Cartoon Wars Part 1 and Part 2 respectively. These two episodes generated a large amount of discussion, particularly Part 2, as they depicted Muhammad but in entirely non-offensive ways. There was a large amount of back and forth between Parker and Stone and Viacom on Comedy Central over whether to include the portrayals of Muhammad, but for safety reasons, as several people had been assassinated over their involvement in media depicting Muhammad, the episode ended up being censored with the title card saying, "Comedy Central has refused to broadcast an image of Muhammad on their network." This was odd to Parker and Stone because not only were they previously permitted to make fun of other religions, but a depiction of Muhammad actually appeared uncensored in the season 5 episode Super Best Friends. Alas, the episode aired like this, and it generated a buzz when it was released. However, since then, most of the attention the episode has been over its criticisms of fellow adult animated show Family Guy. But a bigger controversy was yet to come for the South Park crew. On April 14th and April 21st, 2010, South Park aired the episodes 200 and 201 respectively, which were the 200th and 201st episodes of South Park. The plot of these two episodes revisit the Muhammad controversy by involving him prominently in the plot. In the episode 200, he was depicted without censoring, which led to a user of the New York-based organization Revolution Muslim posting the following passage, quote, "We have to warn Matt and Trey that what they are doing is stupid, and they will probably wind up like Theo Van Gogh for airing this show. This is not a threat, but a warning of the reality of what will likely happen to them." Theo Van Gogh was a film director from the Netherlands who was assassinated after releasing a short film titled Submission Part 1, which many viewed as offensive after a verse from the Quran, the Islamic holy book, was written on one of the characters' backs. This was perceived as a death threat by many media outlets, despite the quote specifically stating otherwise, and some requested the involvement of the police. However, the police did not believe that the quote resembled a crime. 201 aired a week after 200, and it contained incredibly heavy censorship from Comedy Central, including the use of a censor bar to obscure any depictions of Muhammad, the use of a bleep to censor all references to Muhammad, and the bleeping of a full 2-minute speech which served as the moral conclusion of the two episodes. The airing of the episode received strong criticism, but not from the episode itself. Comedy Central's censorship of the episode was the aspect receiving flack, with critics saying that the censorship was likely done as a damage control to prevent further threats and keep the safety of employees. A few years after 201's airing, in 2014, an uncensored version of the 2-minute speech was leaked onto the Imageboard website 4chan without Comedy Central's permission. This link was later removed. In 2020, when South Park made its ways onto the streaming service HBO Max, the 5 previously mentioned episodes were all removed from the library of episodes, likely due to their depiction of Muhammad. And that was essentially the end of the controversy. I could easily make this into its own video like the Boston Moon and I Panic, but this is a Comedy Central video at the end of the day, and overall there isn't that much else to discuss regarding the channel. So let's have ourselves an epilogue/conclusion. The 2010s for Comedy Central were, generally speaking, fairly quiet. They decided to change their logo a few times, first going from the modernised globe logo to a logo with 2 C's, one of which was flipped upside down along with the word Central. That was comparable to the copyright system in 2011, and later a slight revision in 2018, making the symbol yellow and unflipping the word Central, as well as changing the font. Aside from these brief logo changes, the state of Comedy Central remained the same, and that, more or less, is the history of Comedy Central. It's had a turbulent time on the television, what with controversial shows like Tosh.0, the Comedy Central roasts, and of course South Park, constantly coming under fire from associations such as the Parents Television and Media Council, who criticised the shows and their mature content, as well as what they perceived to be blasphemous content. But with such an impressive lineup of shows, a loyal fanbase of consumers, and a ton of consistently high-rating episodes, Comedy Central is an undeniable powerhouse in the field of TV, and while its unabashed style of programming may have nabbed it from a wider audience, its influence is undeniable. It truly is the comedy channel.